What would happen in case of a nuclear war? A defense expert explains. In a world where tensions simmer and rivalries span across continents, one of the most terrifying scenarios imaginable remains a full-scale nuclear war. But what would actually happen if such a catastrophe unfolded? What does modern military doctrine say? How would the international system respond? And could humanity survive the aftermath? We bring defense analysis and explore in detail what a nuclear war would truly entail. From first strike protocols to post war consequences, consider this a sobering look into a scenario that all nations strive to avoid, but must nonetheless prepare for. The triggers of nuclear war. Nuclear war, though unlikely in conventional diplomacy, remains a latent threat due to unresolved geopolitical conflicts and nuclear deterrence doctrines. The most likely triggers include escalation of conventional conflicts, small-scale border skirmishes or regional wars between nuclear-armed states, such as India and Pakistan, could spiral out of control. Cyber warfare or miscalculation. Hacking into early warning systems or false alarms could cause a country to launch preemptively. Command and control failures. Political instability or unauthorized actors gaining access to nuclear arsenals in unstable regimes. Nuclear blackmail or terrorism. A non-state actor or rogue nation initiating conflict under the assumption of no immediate retaliation. All of these scenarios involve a breakdown in communication, deterrence, or trust, elements vital in nuclear diplomacy. The first strike. Should nuclear war begin, the initial phase would likely be characterized by a first strike. There are two primary doctrines here: counterforce strategy, targeting enemy missile silos, air bases, and command centers to cripple their ability to retaliate. Counter-value strategy, targeting civilian cities and infrastructure to inflict maximum psychological and demographic damage. The United States, Russia, and China possess advanced early warning systems to detect launches, with command structures designed to respond within minutes, not hours. Once missiles are launched, their targets would be reached within 15 to 30 minutes, especially via submarine-launched ballistic missiles (SLBMs) positioned closer to the adversary's borders. The aftermath of a first strike would be catastrophic. Millions could die instantly, and national command structures would rely on deeply buried bunkers and automated systems like Russia's rumored perimeter or dead hand to ensure retaliation even after leadership is incapacitated. The retaliation and escalation. Once a first strike occurs, mutually assured destruction, MAD, becomes more than theory. It becomes reality. Retaliation would be swift, and within hours, major global cities, Washington, D.C., Moscow, Beijing, London, New Delhi, could lie in radioactive ruin. Escalation might involve strategic bombers and SLBMs delivering secondary payloads, tactical nuclear weapons used in battlefield contexts, especially in Europe or East Asia. Allied involvement. NATO would respond collectively, possibly drawing in countries that were not originally targeted. This phase could last hours or days, but the scale of destruction would likely force a global halt to operations as survivors and remaining leadership assess the damage. The aftermath. The aftermath of nuclear war is where the true horrors emerge. Immediate casualties. Tens to hundreds of millions dead from blasts, radiation burns, and collapsed infrastructure. Nuclear fallout. Radioactive particles would contaminate the atmosphere, soil, and water. Acute radiation syndrome, ARS, would become widespread. Nuclear winter. Global temperatures could plummet due to soot and ash blocking sunlight. Studies predict global agricultural collapse for a decade or more. Economic collapse. Global supply chains, markets, and institutions would disintegrate, pushing surviving nations into economic depression. Mass migration and conflict. Survivors would migrate en masse from irradiated zones, leading to further social and military conflict in surviving regions. A large-scale war between the US and Russia could kill over 600 million people in a matter of weeks. Even a limited war between India and Pakistan could cause global climatic disruptions and mass starvation due to reduced crop yields. Is survival possible? Visuals: underground bunkers, doomsday preppers, seed vaults, space technology. Can humanity survive such a cataclysm? Technically, yes, but survival would be selective and localized. The ultra-wealthy may retreat to underground bunkers, Certain regions, like New Zealand or parts of South America, might be spared direct attacks and could emerge as post-war havens. However, societal order would collapse. Governments might cease to function. Technological regression, loss of knowledge, and lawlessness would likely define the new normal for decades. Can it be prevented? Despite these grim possibilities, nuclear war is not inevitable. Arms control treaties such as New START and the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons aim to limit arsenals and encourage disarmament. Diplomatic engagement through organizations like the UN and IAEA continue to mediate tensions and oversee compliance. Track 2, diplomacy and civil society play crucial roles in building peace and awareness. But above all, preventing nuclear war requires political wisdom, transparent communication, and a collective human will to choose life over annihilation. The specter of nuclear war remains one of the darkest shadows over modern civilization. It is a reminder that while human beings have the power to destroy the planet, we also have the power to preserve it. Understanding the consequences is the first step toward ensuring we never walk down that path. If you found this video informative, please like, subscribe, and share it with others. Let's keep the conversation alive, because awareness could be our most powerful defense.